Next technique I want to show you is wet on dry. We did the background wet on wet, wet paint on wet paper. Now we're going to do wet paint on dry paper. So that means that we're not adding water to this area first. We're going to do the table, what we've kind of determined to be the table. And as we move along here, you're going to be able to get used to this and try different things in different areas. So to do wet on dry, I don't have to prep the paper, but I do want to make a really wet paint. So the more water I add from my cup with my brush to the color, the more paint I've created. The more I mix with my brush, the darker and thicker and more dry the paint gets. So I don't want to do a whole lot of mixing in there right now. Some, but just not too much. So notice I'm just dabbing in color into the brown. Now you can choose the color you want to do, and we can even talk about color mixing here in a minute. Okay, so now I haven't mixed a whole lot of color. I've just put a lot of water in there. So when I put this on my table, I get kind of this effect. It's not going to bleed as much, so you get a much cleaner line with your brush for detail purposes because the paper's dry. See that? But it's still watery paint, isn't it? So I've got really kind of a nice wet water color here with the brown, but I get that nice clean edge if I want it. So I can do that edge of the table. And that's what I'm going to do there. So I want to continue to occasionally add water and try and keep the color. It doesn't have to be uniform. In fact, I'm going to show you how to mix colors next. So I can lay down some of this brown. Often you'll see a wooden tabletop and you'll have that brown color. Okay, so this is wet on dry. I can lay that down there. Now, let's see if we can do some color mixing. For color mixing, you can use a little paper plate or some kind of tray. If you don't have something like that, you can mix in here. I'll move it down here. You can mix on this here. So let me show you how to mix a color. So I want to take some of my brown, my wet brown, and just put it right there. Okay, and if I need more, I just scoop it in there. Dab, dab, dab. Okay. I thought, well, then I want to clean my brush. And I thought I'd add some yellow. So let's, with a clean brush, you don't want to get all kinds of brown paint in here. So make sure you've got a clean brush. And this is where your paper towel can come in handy for you. Okay? Let me grab mine. Paper towel of some sort is good for getting rid of some of the water on your brush and also for changing colors. So I can dab that in there. Dab, dab, dab. Now I got brown and yellow. And when I mix those together, let's get a little more water. When I mix them together, I'm going to get kind of a, well, let's see. The brown's more dominant, but notice how it's creating this brownish yellow, kind of a more golden color than the dark brown here. And I thought, yeah, let's add that to our painting, our tabletop, and see what we get there. So this is, again, wet on dry. Wet paint on dry paper. And I can kind of go along here. And you can play around with mixing those colors together. So you can mix them on the tray. You can even mix them sometimes right on the paper. That looks kind of cool. Okay, I want you to experiment with that and have fun with it and learn about how these colors react to the water and to each other. It's a valuable thing to just kind of get used to. That is what we call wet on dry. A little bit more control, but still not a full color look. We'll get to that next. Okay, there we go.